Alright guys, Tim here with Timorous Asylum of course, as always, and I am bringing to you my current and so far favorite build of my Vanquished Souls. If you can't tell, my voice is still pretty sore, but I wanted to get this one out before I did any of the others, so I hope that's alright. Anyways, let's dive right into the deck, and I'll explain some of the choices along the way, and then we'll showcase some EDO Pro matches shortly after. So the main cards you'll eventually want to see, if not exactly right away, are 3 copies of Vanquished Soul Raisin. This one is the one you do always want to see, and so we have built ours primarily with the fire attributes and other monsters, although we do also of course have the dark and earth types as well, mostly for the synergy and to shape our hand the way we want it to be shaped. He, of course, when you normal summon or special summon him, can then pull another Vanquished Soul from your deck to your hand. Honestly, that's the most important one. I mean, he has some other effects too, but unless if you're actually using him for his effects, they probably won't pop up too often. So let's just move right into the number 2 best monster card in the deck, and that would be having 3 copies of Vanquished Soul Heavy Borger. If you don't already have him in your hand when you play Raisin, you would be then pulling him from your deck with Raisin's effect. His effects include showing your opponent a dark type from your hand in order to draw another card. This is a quick effect and can be done on both players' turns. Or showing an earth and fire type to simply inflict 1500 damage to your opponent. So if you're not going for the draw effect, that's 3000 every time it gets back to you. So 1500 on your turn, 1500 on your opponent's turn. That can quickly add up to a lot of damage. And again, you would then summon him by returning Raisin or another Vanquished Soul that is not Heavy Borger to your hand. Pretty OP, freaking love it. Then for the last 3 of the Vanquished Soul monsters we have 3 Vanquished Soul Dr. Madlove. Now, while I don't mind running this at 3, I have been thinking about cutting it down to 2 because I don't have a whole lot of Vanquished Soul spell and trap cards in my deck. However, being able to pull those pretty much at any given point without having to use Raisin's effect to get Dr. Madlove to my hand is a wonderful thing. Its other effects include lowering the attack and defense of a monster on your opponent's field, or I think returning like the lowest attack monster or something, but I don't use its other effects. I specifically use it just to search and thin my deck out for the spells and or traps. Now, the reason I run Vanquished Soul Caesar Valius at 2 is because it comes up more often than it hasn't for me where I've needed to, or if I just needed another earth monster and have already gone through my other ones that are in the deck, and I'd just like to have another dragon as well, which he also is. He can also be unaffected by your opponent's effects and also can destroy 1 card on the field. It doesn't even have to be on your opponent's side, so this could actually technically work in certain dino builds if you really wanted it to. So, but I use it for the destruction nature, the occasional protection of the effects, but mainly for the dragon type for now, as well as the level. And we just got a couple more of the Vanquished Soul cards, and then we'll be on to the rest of the deck. We are running 1 Vanquished Soul Pantera. While it can be useful to destroy the spells and traps in the same column as it, I basically just use it as another earth type. So, and as well as being searchable off Raisin as well is also pretty good. That's what I use it for. And then the last Vanquished Soul monster card we are running, 1 copy of Vanquished Soul Pluton HG. Honestly, it seems like it's a lackluster card, but because it can boost up to like either 3000 defense or 3000 attack, depending on what attributes you show from your hand, it is actually pretty awesome. And again, why not just include 1, guys? It is a fire type, so if you get it and then you stake your soul, you can also get your Raisin to your hand. Another reason we run it. Then for the mini packages, we are running 1 Kashtira Riseheart as well as 2 Kashtira Fenrir. Pretty self-explanatory. I used to run 3 Fenrir. Sometimes I think about going back to it, however 2 works pretty well, and then obviously I have more room for other cards. Riseheart, the banish face down effect is pretty awesome as well, and that's why sometimes I think about putting Fenrir back to 3, but as long as I don't use Fenrir's effect to actually pull Fenrir from deck to hand, instead either have to use it on Riseheart, or if I already have Riseheart, just ignore it, so I can use Riseheart's effect to banish from the deck another Kashtira card. You know, it works that way. And then we run 1 Bastille Druiswarm and 2 Bastille Magnamut. Reason why? They're all dark, and I needed more dark types, as well as they help search, well, technically Magnamut, they can help also banish banish from either graveyard in order to get summoned out, which then helped me go into my Chaos Angel or Baron. Because of that, and they're all dragon, I did include another card, which you'll see here in just a moment. But I did want to showcase these. I also used to run Magnamhut at 3, but again, why when I could just get away with 2? And then we run 1 fire type dragon to coincide with our 2 earth and the 3 dark dragons. That way, no matter what we need, we are technically able to, again, curate our hand to what we need at that given time. 1 Blaster Dragon, Ruler of Infernos. That's basically the only reason. I brought him out with his effect a few times too to just OTK, and it's very doable. However, his sole purpose for the initial inclusion was to, again, get Raisin to hand had I not had him in my opening hand. So, Dino Wrestler Pankratops, no real explanation needed for this one. We use him to basically pop should we need to, or attack. It's pretty dope. I like him. He's always a good one of, and look at that shininess. I really do want to get the collector rare. I think he was in a collector rare anyways. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments below. If you can't tell, this is quite heavy on the monsters. In fact, we have another 7 to go. Next, we have 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Always a fantastic hand trap to have, as well as, hey, guess what? It's more fire. So, I mean, again, pretty self-explanatory as to why we're having them, seeing as I've already said it countless times. So let's just move on to the next one, which happens to be 2 Ghost Spell and Haunted Mansion. I do have rarity bumps of these coming, because I do want to try to get this eventually to be max rarity. However, it's just good to have, and it's an earth type. It has come up a couple times, not too often, but, you know, if you don't need to use it, at least you have the earth type in hand, so then you don't have to waste your time searching other earth types. And then the final 2 monsters, 2 Kurikara Divincarnate. The highest attack that this has actually ever gotten out to since I've had it is 6,000 attack, and that was when I was playing the AI just to test out a possible branded Despia deck that I'm thinking about making. While it did in fact do the full 6,000 to my health, I was able to recur myself enough in that test hand. However, knowing that, it's just good to have, and again, fire type. So let's just get into the spells, guys. I do want to point out real quick that I'm thinking about swapping 2 of the cards in here, and I'll tell you what those are later when I get to them. But first, we are running 2 Triple Tactic Talents, solely because people like to play during my main phase, you know, their monster effects, and this can either get me their monster or get me 2 more cards, and those are the 2 main effects I actually use from it. So it's been useful, and I'll continue to run it at 2. 1 Reinforcement of the Army. This, of course, is again to purely get Raisin to hand if I don't already have them, or if I just want another one in case I need a fire type that I don't already have. It's great, it's one of, so why not run it? And then we have 3 Stake Your Soul. Mainly, again, once again, yes, I've said this so many times throughout this profile, but it's to get Raisin to hand. If you already have Raisin, then you use this to curate what you need for the other Vanquished Soul card effects to go off, whether that be the Earth or the Dark, or yet another fire. Maybe you need one. It's a great card, and I highly recommend it. While your monster does come back to your hand at the end of turn, should it still be on the field. That's not a bad thing necessarily. So you know, play them. Then we have 2 Pot of Prosperities. These are actually the cards I'm thinking about swapping out for like Raigeki or something, you know, just something else. I'm not sure what. I rarely ever need it with how this deck is built and how it's been giving me at least a Raisin or a way to get to Raisin, or multiple ways to get to Raisin on my first turn each and every time. The only point I've ever had to even using this was try to get to Raisin in the initial thought process and the test hands. So I might just swap them either into the side deck or just get rid of them entirely. I'm not quite sure, but I did want to showcase this deck because honestly I really like it and it's very fun. If you don't have these cards or don't use them, then remove them, guys. Don't feel bad about doing that. Then we have 1 Vanquished Soul Continue. This does have a slight cost of a whole 500 life points. You know, that's not really that much, especially when it gets you a Vanquished Soul either back to your hand or special summon it to the field from the graveyard. If you do special summon it though, it does have to go in defense, while a lot of the effects do kick off whether they're not the normal or special summon, so most of the time that won't matter, but sometimes it is better to actually get it back to your hand. So make sure you play it right when you play it. I used to run this at 2, but I swapped the second copy out for another copy of Vanquished Soul Dust Diver, which as you can see we're running at 2. Basically an awesome Book of Moon. I mean, you just change one of your Vanquished Soul monsters from either attack to defense or defense to attack, and then you flip all your opponent's monsters face down. Honestly, it's a good call. I like it. It actually has come up more often than most of the other spells and traps we run in this deck. Highly recommend running this at least at 2. And then for the last spell, 1 Infernoble Arms Durandal. Another reason, again, trying to get Raisin to hand. Literally it. And another reason why I don't think Pot of Prosperity is as important, because I normally get this, I already have Raisin, or have Reinforcement for my opening / first draw. So, and this you can equip either on your opponent's or your own monster in order to kick its effect. So, you know, again, Pot of Prosperity might be a cut card soon. And then the final 2 cards, which I'm also technically thinking about swapping out, 2 copies of There Can Only Be One. While very useful against some decks, not necessarily all, but most, a good handful at least, I am actually thinking about swapping them out for maybe Eradicator, which I do currently have in my side deck. Other than that, it's a good card and actually not bad. You know, so that's why I'm unsure if I'm going to swap this one out, but Pot of Prosperity probably on the chopping block. That's it for the main deck. Now let us get into our extra deck. So for our extra deck, we're going to start at the Synchro side of the things. As I already mentioned once before, we are in fact running Chaos Angel. It's just a good card, and it can be made off any of the Bastilles in a level 4, especially since its effect says it can be made with a dark or light monster that you can then count as a tuner. So why not use it, guys? Get it out there. Bring that chaos. And of course, as also mentioned previously, one Baronne de Fleur, just a good card overall, and this is in fact the same copy that I opened up on this channel a long time ago. I'm happy I pulled it. It's been a great card ever since and has made its rounds through a few of my decks. Then we have one Divine Arsenal AA Zeus Sky Thunder. We all know what he does by now. No explanation needed. He's just good to have in case. Then we are running the Spriggans package over the Zoodiac one. One, because I've never really personally cared for Zoodiacs. I know a lot of people do, and that might be a hill I might have to die on someday, saying that this is actually the better version. Not version, but you know, better package to run in this deck over the Zoodiac cards. Spriggans can easily go into Sargus, of course, and you know, he's just another big body with a decent effect. That's why I chose him. Because we're running the Kashtira, I thought, hey, why not get and then play Kashtira of Riseheart? So here he is. Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. I'm actually thinking about shoving in what, Shangri-Ira, because it'd just be easier than always trying to have 3 level 7s on the field, which is still very doable in this deck, by the way, especially with Riseheart's effect, to turn himself into a level 7 if his other effect gets off. But, you know, having 2 is just easier to get, so why not? So until that possible day comes, we are running these other 2 XZ cards, Tornado Dragon, because back row can still be a little scary sometimes, so it's like having out to it. Aside from Harpy's Feather Duster, which I believe I have in the side deck, I could be wrong, we have Tornado Dragon here for easier access. And last of the XZ cards, Evil Swarm Exciton Knight. He's just a good way to destroy the field. Simple as that. He's a nuke. Boom. Now into the Link cards, which there are only 7. Let's go through them a little quicker. Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. A Link 5, but nice because it allows you to pop, you know, well, not pop technically, but link off one of your opponent's monsters, which could have been a troublesome card. So why not have it as another backup? Plus, if I do get this off before my next card, bigger boost. You may have already known what I was hinting at, but let us see if you were right. 1 access code talker. Could you imagine this already being at 7,300, almost an OTK in itself? Well, now you can if you get Closed World off before you get him. Just be hilarious. Might not be the most ideal and useful way of using your resources, but it could still be fun, unless they have a magic cylinder, in which case then you'll take 7,300 to the face. This one's mostly just a placeholder, and also because I've never actually been able to use it before until I threw it into this deck, but if he stays around, 1 Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. He has a few nifty little effects, including the boost of 1,500 attack. He's going to be in here until maybe one day he takes an arrow to the knee and can no longer adventure with us. For now, until a certain card comes out that you guys may have been seeing the rounds of lately on social media, I might even include a picture of it here. But until that day, Nightmare Unicorn. It's good. We all know what it does. And then with Unicorn, of course we're running Phoenix. Again, gotta respect the back row on occasion, guys. You can't always just let it run rampant, you know, so it might only get rid of 1, but it gets rid of 1. And now this part you may think is a little blasphemous for this type of deck. 2 Rock of the Vanquisher. I see the reasoning behind running 3, however, I've never needed to go into 3 yet, so I've cut it down to 2 so I can make more room in the extra deck for other cards that could possibly come up. While they might not either, at least it's good to have the options. At least I think so. And that is the entire Vanquished Souls deck. I'm sorry if my voice sounds a little weird, but as mentioned in the beginning of the video, I am still a little sick. Been popping cough drops and drinking cough syrup like crazy the last 3 days. But I did really want to get this out because I have, in fact, really been enjoying this deck. And interesting side note, I joined a Yu-Gi-Oh team with my friend and his buddies, and my nephew's even joining it. And we're all choosing a separate deck that encapsulates what we like currently, or at least prefer, in case there's a like a 3-on-3 or something that we participate in, you know, regionals or OTSs or anything that offers that. So, and this is the deck I would be running with, maybe probably by then some changes, like Pot of Prosperity will probably be kicking the boots soon. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will showcase a couple matches, one against the AI and one hopefully against Deadpoo. He's been a cool member of the community, and you know, he still wants to beat me, so I actually hope he can. See you guys in the next video after the duels. Alright guys, peace.
4 to 6 days later.